Over the past few weeks, I've had a fair few conversations with different people from church about the topic of Sunday service, and a common theme was the question of whether or not to come back into the building for worship on a Sunday. Now, as you might expect, there's quite a wide range of feelings on this matter. Some of us are quite keen to come in. Some others of us are quite unwilling to come in. And some others, again, are unable to come in for all different kinds of reasons. Now, given the circumstances that we're in, there's just no one right way to go when it comes to the decision of whether or not to come into the building. Where do we situate our bodies? For as long as God allows our restricted circumstances to continue, we cannot all share the same sacred space together. It's just not possible. But we can make the commitment to remain faithful to observing the same sacred time together on a Sunday morning. So while I won't insist on all of us coming back together to share the same space again on a Sunday, I will insist that we do our part to share the same sacred time together on that Sunday, because by persevering in this, we are expressing our hope in the vision that God has given us of worship in the new creation, where all of God's people will worship God in the same space and at the same time. No longer separated by space, because we'll all inhabit the heavenly city together, and no longer separated by time, because all God's people throughout all of history will be living together and death will no longer separate us. Now, we demonstrate that we believe in these things to the extent that we desire to make them reality in the present, however imperfect that might be. On the flip side, however, the more that we neglect these kinds of things, the more likely that we will forget the good things that God has saved us towards, and this is to our own hurt. One very practical way that this matters is in our ability to pray for one another and to be prayed by others. For those of us who are tuning in over YouTube and then Zoom when our service is live, you can expect to be prayed for by someone after the service, and you can expect to pray for someone as well. In other words, we can expect to minister to others and be ministered to by others when we make that commitment to share that sacred time together. That is not possible if we watch the service sometime later in the day or sometime later during the week. And those of us who would come physically into the church building should expect to give and to receive likewise. Now that there are only about 2 or 3 dozen of us in the sanctuary on a Sunday, it's quite easy to be drawn into small groups of conversation and prayer, groups of about 3 or 4, similar to the breakout rooms. Whereas in the past, with a larger gathering, it was quite easy to be overlooked and to slip quietly away. That's no longer the case. And so if there's been just one benefit of having our worship gatherings restricted in this way, it is that we can no longer pretend that certain people don't exist in our midst. We have to look around and actually talk to and actually pray with that handful of people that we find ourselves worshiping with, whether it be the people that we've been randomly assigned to in a Zoom breakout room, or the handful of people that happen to walk through the doors into the sanctuary. Those who take the plunge and bear with the awkwardness and the uncomfortableness will grow in their maturity and their faith and in their fellowship with members of God's household. Those who shy away from these things simply will not. Now, as a pastor, I would much rather see people do more of the former and less of the latter, but the decision to actually do it remains with you. All that being said, we are not ignorant, we're not unsympathetic to the challenges that we're facing when it comes to being separated by time and by space in the way that we're currently experiencing. Many of us are working hard with our midweek community groups to make them better and to make more of them so that there are more opportunities for people to share the same sacred time and sacred space for worship and for fellowship with each other under God's word. And we are thinking seriously about another Sunday service worship time in addition to the morning service we currently have. But these are just plans, and whatever shape they will take is by only the grace of God and as the result of how we all, as God's church at ESCCC, work together to make these things happen. So let's do that and be prayerful and make those things happen together. I'm Pastor Jose. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.